This is a reading from the Book of the I Ching, or Book of Changes, the Richard Wilhelm translation. And it is about the hexagram Ken, keeping still mountain, nuclear trigrams Chen and Kan. Here also, strictly speaking, the two light lines are the rulers of the hexagram, but since the meaning of the hexagram of keeping still is based on the fact that the light element stands still, the third line does not count as a ruler, and only the line at the top is so regarded. The sequence. Things cannot move continuously. One must make them stop. Hence, there follows the hexagram of keeping still. Keeping still means stopping. This hexagram is the inverse of the preceding one. It is formed by doubling of the trigram Ken, the younger sun, the mountain. The place of Ken is in the northeast, between Kan and in the north, and Chen in the east. It is the mysterious place where all things begin and end, where death and birth pass into one another. The attribute of the hexagram is keeping still, because the strong lines whose trend is upward have attained their goal. The judgment, keeping still, keeping his back still so that he no longer feels his body. He goes into the courtyard and does not see his people. There's no blame. Commentary on the decision. Keeping still means stopping. When it is time to stop, then stop. When it is time to advance, then advance. Thus movement and rest do not miss the right time, and their course becomes bright and clear. Keeping his stopping still means stopping in his place. Those above and those below are in opposition, have nothing in common. Therefore it is said, he does not feel his body. He goes into his courtyard and does not see his people. There's no blame. The nature of the hexagram predicates a separation from the upper and lower trigram. This is indicated also by the divergent movements of the nuclear trigrams. The upper going upward and the lower downward. Keeping still is the meaning of the hexagram itself. Movement is the meaning of the nuclear trigrams. Therefore, it is explained that movement and stopping, each at the right time, are both features of rest. The one is continuance in a state of movement, the other continuance in a state of rest. The hexagram Ken has an inner brilliance because the light line at the top is above the two dark ones, and so is not darkened. Hence the saying, their course becomes bright and clear. The back is that part of the body which is invisible to oneself. Keeping the back still symbolizes making the self still. The lower primary trigram indicates this keeping still of the back, so that one is no longer aware of one's body, that is, of one's personality. The upper primary trigram means courtyard. The individual lines of the upper trigram have no relation to the corresponding lines of the lower trigram. Hence the upper and lower trigram turn their backs on each other, as it were. Hence one does not see the other persons in the courtyard, the image. Mountains standing close together, the image of keeping still. Thus the superior man does not permit his thoughts to go beyond his situation. The corresponding lines of the upper and lower trigram do not stand in the relationship of correspondence in any of the hexagrams formed by doubling of a trigram, but only in the hexagram of keeping still. It is expressly noted that the mountains have merely an outward connection. In the case of the other hexagrams so formed, a reciprocal movement of the trigrams is always presupposed. In keeping still, the opposite of movement and interchange is represented. Accordingly, the lesson taught by the image is that of restriction to what is within the limits of one's position. The lines. 6 at the beginning, keeping his toes still no blame, continued perseverance feathers. Keeping his toes still, what is right is not yet lost. With respect to the images and individual lines in the hexagram are reminiscent of the lines of scene, influence, 31. Thus, the lowest line, again, is the symbol of the toes. The line is weak, therefore, keeping still accords with the time and is not a mistake. It is important only that a weak nature of this sort should not become impatient, but should possess enough perseverance to keep still. 6 in the second place, keeping his calves still, he cannot rescue whom he follows. His heart is not glad. He cannot rescue him whom he follows, because this one does not turn toward him to listen to him. The line that's followed by the 6 in the second place is the 9 in the third place. This 6 in the second place is correct and central, and would like to save not only itself, but also the one it follows. But the 9 in the third place is a strong line in the place of transition, and it is the lowest line of the nuclear trigram Chen, arousing, hence it is extremely restless. At the same time, it is in the nuclear trigram Can, the abysmal, which means earache. Hence the failure to hear. Can is also the symbol of the heart. Hence, his heart is not glad. 9 in the third place, keeping his hips still, making his sacrum stiff. Dangerous, the heart suffocates. Keeping his hips still, there is danger that the heart may suffocate. This line is in the middle of the nuclear trigram Can, hence the allusion to the heart. At the same time, it is the one light line between dark lines, and this indicates danger and confinement. Keeping still in his situation is dangerous. When the back is kept still, one gains control over the whole body. The hips, however, form the boundary between the movements of the light and of the dark forces. If rigidity occurs here, the heart will move aimlessly. The nerve paths will thereby be interrupted, and a suffocation of the heart is to be feared. 6 in the fourth place, keeping his trunk still, no blame. B, keeping his trunk still, he stops within his own body. The fourth place is the trunk. It is very weak, and a weak line stands over it. In the time of keeping still, it is altogether correct if one knows how to restrain oneself at the right time. 6 in the fifth place, keeping his jaws still. The words have order. Remorse disappears. Keeping his jaws still is a result of central and correct behavior. While in influence 31, the image of the jaws does not appear until the topmost place is reached. It comes in the 5th place here, because in this hexagram the ruler occupies the 6th place. The present line is in a central place and also correct, but since it belongs simultaneously to the trigram Ken, keeping still, and to the nuclear trigram Chen, the movement, it suggests the possibility of movement of the jaws and of speaking like thunder, but this is avoided through the central behavior of the line and the fact that it belongs to the upper trigram, keeping still. 9 at the top, noble-hearted, keeping still, good fortune. The good fortune of noble-hearted keeping still comes from the fact that there is an ample end. The line ending the hexagram is strong, hence it is thought of as ample. The ruler of the hexagram is at the top of the mountain, in the place where the layers of earth are most amply, most densely piled upon one another. As the highest line, it has light intrinsically, This can be fully effectual precisely because of the calm keeping still of the line. Hence good fortune is attained here, since this strong line does not strive further upward but stays quietly in its place. It is in contrast to other strong lines at the top, not unfavorable.